Because, church, I know we were born for a time such as this, and I have faith He is going to carry us forward, and the road ahead won't be easy. It will require perseverance and hard work. But in times of uncertainty, Scripture reminds us, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. The path may seem hard, the work may seem heavy, but joy cometh in the morning. And church, morning is on its way. God bless you. God bless America.
Now, they haven't yet been able to fully explain the reason why 13 to 15 million votes seem to have just disappeared. They're claiming that it's because the final number of votes haven't fully been counted yet. They're trying to claim that it's also because some people may have crossed the aisle and gone and voted for Trump instead of the Democrats. So we'll have to just stay tuned. I don't understand. There are still states that haven't been called as far as the House of Representatives go. Why is it taking so long to count these votes in, say, Arizona? Why? It's like it's days after the election. Arizona never had a problem counting votes until Donald Trump's name was in play. And then all of a sudden now, everything is moving at a glacial pace. It doesn't make sense. It absolutely doesn't make sense. But it does make sense if you consider that these people are trying to cheat. Because I remember how contentious Arizona was back in 2020. And I thought that Arizona might have made a difference. But the thing about it is, it really looks like a lot of 2020 voting was fraud. And I think what they're scared of is that people are going to start asking those questions and saying, excuse me, what happened to all of these votes that Biden got? Where are they now? Because there's no way that you're going to tell me that you got between 13 and 15 million people to sit out this election. And there's also no way that you're going to tell me that all of the sudden Hispanics simply just broke for Trump and they say, yeah, we're going to vote for Donald Trump. Now, it wasn't even that recent, but you've got the joke about Puerto Rico, calling Puerto Rico garbage. You've got, of course, Trump's platform, his very platform, I'm going to deport illegal aliens. So now you got people like Joy Reid and Sonny on The View. They're gonna deport your abuela. It's like, first of all, you're saying half the sentence in English and you're throwing in abuela. Like, to tell you the truth, it almost feels to me like you guys are making race jokes, because we've already seen that initially there were a lot of these black female TikTokers who were attacking black men, and they were like, initially they were saying all these negative things and claiming that we cost Kamala the election, when 80% of black men voted for Kamala. 20% voted for Trump. And now this is data. Like, see, it's funny, women, and I've seen some of these horrible women who are on TikTok and Facebook and YouTube. Whenever men start pulling out statistics and start quoting statistics, they get really indignant because they don't want to be in a situation where they can't argue with you. What they want to make it so is they can argue with you and there's nothing you can do about it. But the problem is, now that you've had the Kevin Samuels era, now men, when they start talking, the first thing they start talking is about numbers and statistics and probabilities and stuff. And the reality is, women hate that. They really, really hate that, because it proves to them that they're wrong and there's nothing they can say. Like, when I talk now, I reference the stats, the exit poll. Like, if I get into an argument now about why Trump won, the first thing I'm going to say is, well, according to the exit polls. And whatever you say after that, now nobody wants to say nothing, because they know that in a second, you're going to pull out your cell phone and you're going to say, no, that bullshit that you're talking ain't true, because according to the exit polls, blah, blah, blah. They don't like that. They hate, oh my God, they hate that. They hate that a lot, because they want to be able to argue and make shit up. They don't want you being able to argue and pointing out, wait a minute, nah, what you're saying ain't true, and I have proof. They don't want that. They absolutely do not want that. So here you got the Tunisian. You have this opinion. Trump gained Latino voters because Harris did not respond to top concerns. So again, I don't want to rant too much about this. I'm going to go through this quickly. You got Joy Reid on CNN. You got Sunny, I believe her last name is Hostin on The View because I don't pay that much attention. But now they're angry about Hispanic voters. Oh yeah, you're machismo. Your machismo is the reason why now Trump is going to deport your abuela. It's like, this is hilarious. I swear to God, this is hilarious. And by the way, part of the reason why I didn't buy iPhone 16 was because they didn't offer me 2 terabytes of storage. And some of you be like, well, why do you need 2 terabytes of storage? I need you to understand, these memes about this Trump win, I've been collecting memes. When I'm on Instagram, I'm downloading the downloadable. I have downloaded like 30 or 40 different video memes. I've downloaded countless photo memes. I need more storage space. It may end up being so bad that I might end up needing like a 3 terabyte phone in a couple of years. But I definitely need 2 terabytes in iPhone 17 because I've got video clips up the ass that I've been stealing from TikTok, Instagram, and this way I can remix them later. And I need to have that. I just need to have it on my phone. I need to have it locally. Okay, so anyway, so this guy's name is David Plazas, and he's a Nashville, Tennessean. It says the largest U.S. Latino advocacy and civil rights organization plan to hold a virtual press conference Wednesday about Hispanic voter trends on Election Day. It says Unidos U.S. and its partner organizations were going to discuss their new poll showing how Latino voters cast their ballots for Kamala or Trump. And they said Trump got it by a 2-1 margin in most battleground states, including Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Michigan. Now, if you watch The View, you got Sunny arguing with this, and it was a white female. I don't know what her name is off the top of my head. And yeah, I could have prepared and looked, but I really didn't care. But anyway, she was trying to say, why do you think that these Latino voters in Nevada were voting for Trump? It's the border. So you've got Sonny arguing with her saying, no, it's machismo and they're male misogyny and all this. And it's like, wait a minute. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to paint it as either sexism or racism or both. But the reality is these people are right next to the U.S. border. And see, this is the thing. I live in New York. Right here, if you were to go to Junction Boulevard in Queens, or if you were to go into that area of Queens, if you had paid any attention to our news, you may have noticed Eric Adams, he had a serious problem with the Hispanic voters starting to get angry about the fact that these illegal migrants who are being sent here, here's the question, where do you think these people are going to be put? These people are going to be, if they're Hispanic illegal migrants, they're going to be put in Hispanic areas. They're not going to put them in black areas. They're not going to put them in white areas. They're going to put them in Hispanic areas. So that means that Hispanic legal immigrants and the Hispanic nationalized citizens or the Hispanic natural born citizens who are in these areas, they're seeing all these illegal migrants coming in. And when these people are coming in, there was arguments and there was complaints to the Eric Adams administration about prostitution. They were saying that you've got all of these young, the young female, like the Venezuelan illegal immigrants and these Guatemalan illegal immigrants, and prostitution was going through the roof in those areas. They were upset because their young boys were being solicited by prostitutes. They were upset that the gangs were targeting their boys and their daughters for being in a gang. Where do you think these illegal migrants were being put? They're being put in Hispanic neighborhoods, and these people fought back. It's just that simple. No, no, no. It's machismo. It's misogyny. It's racism. After all, Kamala was a black woman and she's part Indian and she was facing the most machismo and she faced the most racism and she faced the most sexism ever faced in the history of a kid. And I'm listening to these people, like, because here's the problem. I'm willing to listen to them, air their grievances. But the problem is they're stupid. They're just so stupid. The same states filled with white voters that voted for Barack Obama are the same states that Kamala's losing now. It can't be all racism. They can't be all racist. Did it ever occur to you that some of them have legitimate concerns that were not addressed by the Kamala Harris platform? Oh no, it's racism and it's sexism and it's machismo. And they, you know what? Now Trump is gonna shoot your children with the cops. They're gonna shoot your children and they're gonna deport your abuela. Oh my God! Like, I swear, since this election, since Trump won, my favorite shows now are MSNBC and Rachel Maddow, The View. I watched Bill Maher last night, and of course, Bill Maher. You see, you know what's so funny? I think Democrats, they are like Dr. Frankenstein. They keep inventing people and uplifting people that ultimately do not support them. And they don't realize it until it's too late. One of which is Elon Musk. Obama made Elon Musk. Obama gave Elon Musk the government subsidies that he needed to make Tesla, for the time being, number one. But Elon turned on the Democrats when they tried to shut him down during COVID. And he said, no, you're not shutting me down. I'm sick and tired of your Democrat bullshit. I'm moving my factories to Texas and blah, blah, blah. But what happened was they invented this man and they put so much money in this man's pockets that by the time he turned on you, there's nothing you could do about it. All of these Democrats, these liberals rushed out and bought Teslas, all of them. They rushed out and bought Teslas at top dollar. They paid way more than those things were going to be worth because Elon dropped the price on most of them. You remember when a Tesla Model S Plaid was like $150,000? These people were buying those cars. And then all of a sudden, this guy drops the price to $100,000. Then he dropped it a little bit more. I think it's like $90,000 now. Oh, yeah, well, I hate this Tesla because he dropped the price and the resale value is not, the depreciation is high and the resale value is not good. And I'm quick to remind him, you made Elon Musk. Then take a look at Bill Maher. Now, I recognize this guy from the very beginning. He first of all, he said he's an atheist. The vast majority of these Democrats claim to be like Christian, or you have the Jewish population in there. But Bill Maher claimed that he was an atheist like from the very beginning. So that's number one. Number two, Bill Maher has taken a pro-Israel stance. And even when he had David Hogg on the show, he chastised David Hogg because David Hogg was basically talking about these high school and college students' rights to protest Israel's bombing of Gaza. Bill Maher immediately chastises David Hogg. Oh, you're wrong, right? So that's strike two right there. Then you got, now Bill Maher comes out. Now see, if you watch these news shows all this week, they criticize immediately. They want to criticize Democrats in general, and they go straight to criticizing the Hispanic vote. But what they won't do is they won't criticize Kamala's campaign and they don't criticize Joe Biden. And I've noticed they all start out their sentences with that same bullshit. Oh, well, Kamala ran she did a wonderful job with what she had. Or, oh yeah, Kamala did the best she could when she was given one bullet and a gun and told to shoot 12 deer. Like they refuse to blame her for hiding from interviews, for not going on Joe Rogan's show when you saw Trump did. They refuse to blame her for anything. You know how they say women keep dodging accountability? Yeah, well, that's exactly what we're talking about. They refuse to blame her. Then they refuse to blame Joe Biden for anything. Now, let me say it like this. If Joe Biden really wanted Kamala Harris to be the next president, what he should have done was groomed her for the role and then retired or resigned. Because nobody can stop you from resigning. And especially considering the state that he's in. We know that this man's mental state, we know the man's demented. We know he's senile. We know it. We've seen old people. We've seen how they get when they get old. We've seen it. You can't tell me that this man was fit as a fiddle, sharp as a tack. You can't tell me that shit. You're gaslighting me. You can't tell me that. What Biden should have done was, let's say last year, this time, November, what he should have done was say, hey, Kamala, guess what? You're president now. And he's, yep, here you go. Here's my resignation. Boom, I'm out. That's what he should have done. He refused to do that. And now you have this, what you have. What you have is Trump having swept the Democrats under the rug. And he's basically King Robert Baratheon at this point. He's on top of the world. He's got the Senate. It looks like he has the House, but I think that a couple of these counties are trying to hold out, trying to figure out how do they cheat so that they can try to make it so that the Democrats can have some power. Because nobody's going to tell me that 7 days later you still don't know who won these counties. Nobody's going to tell me that bullshit. You're lying. So anyway, it's obvious that the American people overwhelmingly supported Trump and the Republicans this time around. Why? Because the Democrats were in charge of a shit economy. So for you to try to hold out these couple of votes, oh, well, we're still counting. No. Something's wrong there. These people are trying to cheat. Again, they're trying to cheat. I don't think it's gonna work. I really don't think it's gonna work. But the Republicans have the Senate, and they got the presidency, and they got the Supreme Court. So bottom line is this. It's like now they're pointing fingers, for circular firing squad, and now they're trying to blame the Hispanic male vote, which I've already raised the question. Kamala lost 15%, they were saying, negative 15% Hispanic male votes, and she lost negative 9 Hispanic female votes. So the question that I have to ask is, where did all these votes go? Because you're never going to convince me that these people sat home. It's not going to happen. There's only two possibilities in my mind. Either all of them went to Trump, which is not evidenced by the numbers, or 2020 was a fraud. And I'm leaning on the fact that I believe 2020 was a fraud. So anyway, it says, however, just a few hours before the designated time, attendees, including me, were informed by email that the event was being postponed without any explanation. My guess for cancellation is that the poll's results did not reflect what Election Day exit polling actually showed. 46% of Latino voters selected Trump. That's the highest percentage for a Republican presidential candidate in exit polls going back to the 1970s, according to the Reuters news story. In fact, 55% of self-identified Latino men and 38% of Latina women said they voted for Trump. You remember when Trump just, 2 weeks ago, went to the Bronx? Of all places, this guy goes to the Bronx. And he's sitting down in what looked to me like a Dominican barber shop, talking to Latino men. Now, let me ask a very simple question. When did Kamala Harris go to a Latino barbershop or a black male barbershop? sit down with them and field questions? Can somebody please answer that question? The answer is it did not happen. Kamala felt that all she had to do was go on The View. She felt that being on The View next to Whoopi and Sunny and Joy Behar, she thought that was enough. I thought that's not enough. Now look at old Trumpy Bear. Trump went to Joe Rogan. Trump was on like everything. The fucking guy was everywhere. He was on Joe Rogan. He was on, he went and sat down with black women who were attacking him from the crowd the entire time, but he still went. Now, he knew he wasn't going to get their vote. He knew they were going to go for Kamala, but the dude still went. Kamala Harris made the exact same mistakes that Hillary made. Hillary was doing all these wealthy, expensive dinners and luncheons, and she was only going on safe interviews. And Kamala made the same mistake that Hillary made. That's how she lost. But when you really look at the electoral map, honestly, I really don't think there was much she could have done anyway, because the economy under Biden sucked, and Kamala did not distance herself from Biden quickly enough or at all. You remember in 2008, you remember McCain and Palin? You remember how Palin, quote unquote, goes rogue? You remember how Palin went rogue? And McCain was trying to calm this bitch down, but couldn't. And she was like, oh, well, Obama's out there piling around with terrorists. Sarah Palin was getting higher ratings than John McCain was getting. The people who voted for the McCain-Palin ticket, most of them assumed McCain would either die or retire, and Palin would end up being president. They didn't vote for John McCain. They voted for Sarah Palin. That's the truth. And I've said this a couple of times, Kamala Harris was the Democrat version of Sarah Palin. That's what it is. It says, this frankly does not surprise me. As a Latino male, okay, so he is Latino. As a Latino male, a journalist and writer of the Tunisia Latino Tennessee Voices newsletter, I follow these trends closely. I wrote 2 columns in the last 2 months calling on the Harris campaign not to take Latino votes for granted and not to browbeat black and brown voters. Data showed what was happening, but now the blame game has begun. It says, USA Today, Suffolk University released a poll before the election showing that while most Latino voters in the swing states of Arizona and Nevada planned to vote for Harris, a majority of men, 50 and under, said that they supported Trump. After the election results emerged and the exit polls revealed the voter percentages, the finger-pointing and ugliness on traditional news and social media began. Commentators blame sexism, racism, and ignorance. What did Sonny Hostin say on The View? Oh, well, they need to be informed. Excuse me, Sonny. Every single time I went to the gas station and saw the price of gas, I was informed. Every single time I went to Walmart and saw cheese prices going up, I was informed. Every single time I went shopping on the internet for things that I used to buy cheaper and the prices were now higher, I was informed. I don't care about Kamala Harris's gender. I don't care about Kamala Harris's race. What I care is when I go over there and open up my wallet, I care how much money's in it at the end of the day. And that's it. Oh, well, you're not informed enough. No, you and your woke bullshit have been repudiated. Okay, so where are we now? It says Pennsylvania radio host Victor Martinez told MSNBC that callers to his show said that they did not trust a woman in a position of authority. Now, I'm not going to pretend that misogyny isn't real. I'm not going to pretend that sexism isn't real. And I'm absolutely not going to pretend that racism isn't real. This is a wartime country right now. And during war, most people trust strong men. The biggest, loudest, most violent brute that we can find is the one that we're voting for. Now, the Biden administration currently is engaged in two wars. One is a proxy war against Russia through Ukraine. When Trump gets into office, you can bet that that's going to end probably within a month or less. That war has been going on since 2021. So we're already more than 2 years into that. I never believed that they would fight this long. But it occurred to me, America is willing to fight this war to the last Ukrainian. The thing about it is, I expected the Ukrainians to run out of people by now, but apparently they haven't. So the bottom line is, when Trump gets in there, this war is going to end. The other one is obviously Israel versus the Palestinian people. And the majority of Democrats were totally against that. The Muslims who vote Democrat said that they refuse to vote for Biden-Harris because of that specific incident. There's no way for you to be part of a political party that is giving weapons to people who are killing your family members in another country or your cousins or whatever it is. There's no way that you're going to realistically vote for these people. No way. Even if you say you are, you're not going to do it. And that's just what happened. So, oh yeah, these things exist. And absolutely, these things had some effect on Kamala Harris. But the reality was, at the end of the day, for many people, it was just the economy. Especially, I'll say, for white people. Because I've told you the stories. I've seen white women wearing all that Kamala Harris nonsense on them, the stickers, the buttons, the hats. And they come around me and they assume, because they look at the color of my skin and they assume that because the color of my skin is brown, they assume that I'm going to support Kamala Harris. It's only when they actually start talking to me and I start throwing statistics at them, they'll be like, oh shit, this guy's a Trump supporter. It's actually funny when they come to the realization. But where were we? Let's see. Trump received 21% of black men's votes. Democrats ignored the warning signs. That is an overgeneralization. While Hispanics are traditionally culturally conservative, Nevada elected Catherine Masto and New Mexico elected Michelle Grisham, who are both Democratic Latinas. So what you're saying is, if they're willing to elect Latina women, that they're not misogynist. The problem was you have presidential candidates who aren't addressing their concerns. So if these Latino men elected governors and senators who were Latinas, just like here in New York, Latino men support Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and before her, they supported Congresswoman Nydia M. Velasquez, then the problem's not misogyny. The problem is that the presidential candidate did not address their concerns. You see, you know what? I don't have to read the rest of this. I just don't have to, because for the most part, you get the picture. And now that I'm seeing more and more video clip editings of Kamala Harris, things that she actually said, like, she is so fake. But I'm going to end this by saying, you know, I personally don't believe Kamala was ever serious about being president. If you think back, Kamala ran in that primary, the Democrat primary, and Tulsi Gabbard blew her away. Tulsi Gabbard didn't get much support either, because I think the DNC pretty much made up its mind that they were going to run Biden, which was, I think, historically will be seen as one of the stupidest possible things that they could have done. If the DNC hadn't forced Biden into that prospect, at his age, the DNC could have run a younger candidate, and they maybe could have avoided what has ultimately happened. But the DNC, just like they did with Bernie Sanders, they got caught marginalizing this man. Hillary Clinton refused to pick him up as a vice president. And maybe she was right, but the Democrat voter backlashed against her. The Democrat voter rebelled against her. And I saw it coming the whole time. Anybody who's watched my show long enough, they know I've been talking about this for a long time. They refused to talk about the role that Bernie Sanders called. They refused to talk about Bernie Sanders. It's funny, I never hear them mention. They refused to talk about the possibility of Bernie Sanders cost Hillary that election. The young voter wanted Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was making all types of crazy ass offers. Oh, I'm going to pay your student loans. I'm going to pay your medical bill, blah, blah, blah. And they wanted him. But you didn't give them what they wanted, and they rebelled against you. It's just that simple. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. Hillary lost. And not just to anybody. She lost to the man who was on record saying, grab him by the pussy. She lost to the man. They're murderers, they're rapists, they don't send their best. She lost to the man who later would say, listen, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people who live there. How do you lose to that? How do you lose to that? You lose to that by not being a strong candidate who addresses the concerns of your people. Or your potential voters, I should say, not your people. That's just what it is. I mean, at a certain point, just talking about it gets exhausting. These people at MSNBC and CNN, these people get their paycheck to sit there and talk shit that whole day. At this point, but you know what? And then this is how I will end this. First of all, I don't believe Kamala was serious about the role. She was in there for, more than 3 years as vice president. And you mean to tell me she didn't even pick up politics? You mean to tell me she couldn't understand how to be a better politician? I could be a better politician than her. You mean that she was there all that time and didn't learn anything? Oh, well, she's so qualified. She's a prosecutor. Oh, let me tell you this. I've had a history of prosecuting people like Donald Trump. I'm more than qualified because I've dealt with sex traffickers, human traffickers, drug traffickers. Kamala puts her hands up like she's trying to. I was thinking about that last night when she puts her hands up and she's like, oh yeah, I'm preaching, like she's explaining something to you. It almost feels to me like she puts her hands up like that, like she's justice and she's trying to balance the scales of justice. I was thinking about that last night while I was sleeping. I was like, yeah, she always puts her hands up like she's the scales of justice or something. I've had a history of prosecuting people like Trump. It's just absolutely incredible. But what I was going to say was the real issue is the media. The media, and I've been saying this for the longest, they've been lying to your faces, gaslighting you. Before election day, election eve, they were saying Kamala was leading Trump by 5 points. And I was like, I don't even care. I'm just going to go out and vote. Sure enough, we find out that it was nowhere near that. She was blown away like a hurricane. They've been trying to keep this race neck and neck. Oh, the polls show that it's 49 to 48.5 and all that bullshit. We find out the day after it was nowhere near it. The media made a big stink about black male voters. That's how, not only me, but also Dr. Wilmer Leon on Sirius XM, he was claiming, and he comes on Saturdays at 12 o'clock on Urban View, just in case you're interested. Oh, actually, it's 11 o'clock. He comes on 11 o'clock on XM Radio, Urban View. And he was claiming that they were trying to set black men up for this loss like they did with Hillary. Like they're trying to say that black men didn't come out and vote for her. Black men voted 80% for Kamala Harris and 20% for Trump. The media was lying to us the entire time. Now, the alternative media, which is now the big thing that now they're talking, because see, first of all, my thing is, before we move on to step two, y'all at CNN and y'all at MSNBC, y'all need to be fucking fired. Because before I go to the next foot and the next step, no. I need to square this first. Y'all need to be fired for what you've put the American people through all of these years. Y'all need to be fired. Y'all need to be wiped out. But see, they get paid to sit there and talk shit. Now the new conversation is about legacy media being dead and alternative media being the new thing. So even people like me, I was looking for external sources of news to explain what is happening here because I've noticed that the external sources tend to be more accurate. We Own, for example, was an Indian channel, and that's Indian news that talks mostly about India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. But when they do talk about American news, I like to see what their perspective is on it. People have gone to Joe Rogan for news. Ironically, people have gone to comedians like Bill Maher for news. People have gone like John Oliver. Them guys ain't even funny. John Oliver is not funny. Who was the guy who took over the Daily Show for Jon Stewart? Jon Stewart was kind of funny, and sometimes he had really good segments. But for the most part, whoever took over for him, I can't even remember those people's names. They weren't funny at all. They were not funny. But a lot of Americans were getting their news from comedians. And that's something that I also consider as part of the problem. If you're getting your news from somebody like Bill Maher, who comes on, tells jokes, and then tries to act like it's serious in the middle segment of the show, and then ends the show telling more jokes, that's not a good way to get news. It's just not. Now, it's entertaining. It's entertainment, but that's not good news. Whatever happened to just give me the facts and let me figure shit out for myself? But you didn't get that. What you got is lie after lie after lie after lie. You got gaslight after gaslight after gaslight. And I really think that the American people are sick and tired of that bullshit. When you've got George Carlin said it right. He said, listen, these political candidates are the best when they're absolutely full of shit and they let you know it. He said the American people want their bullshit right out in front of their nose where they can smell it. He said, yeah, Bill Clinton, for example. Bill Clinton was completely and totally and utterly full of shit, and how do you like that? And then the people will go, oh, well, at least he's honest. Trump is absolutely that. This guy is entertaining. He's the biggest fucking bullshitter that I've ever... this guy is amazing with the bullshit that he pulls and says. But you can't argue with him because he's a character. And you can't fight a character. You can't argue with a character. The guy doesn't obey any of your rules at all. Oh, yeah, he's a coward. Kamala's ready to debate him right now. He's a coward. Why didn't he... He's like, yo, I ain't got to debate you. All I got to do is appeal to the audience and appeal to the voters. I ain't got to debate you. There's nothing worth debating. He came out and said, this is a waste of time. Why don't you go and do all those things right now? Everybody, I swear to God, everybody who wants to say that Kamala won that debate, no, she lost that debate. Even in hindsight, she lost that debate. Why? Because he left the ball in her court and said, listen, you're in there right now. What have you done? What are you doing right now? You're in there right now. Where's Biden at? He's taking a nap at 2 a.m. At 2 p.m., he's taking a nap. Where is he? That's how you lost. This guy was addressing the concerns of the people and being slightly and mildly entertaining while he was doing so. That's how you lost. And he appealed to the alternative news sources that people had gone to. People got tired of watching MSNBC and CNN and Fox. I think what may have done it was COVID. I think during COVID, people got burned out watching that shit and they turned away from it. Like a lot of people listen to me talk, they think I'm a Fox News watcher. I'm not. I really am not. I can't tell you the last time I turned on my TV and went to Fox News. What I do watch is on YouTube. I watch the snippets from individual news channels like The View and MSNBC and Fox and CNN. I watch the snippets. I do not watch any of these channels for news at all. I get it as snippets and then assimilate the information later. That's the reason why for the last 3 election cycles, I picked the correct winner. Back in 16, I was arguing with people. I was like, yo, Trump's going to win. Nobody here believed it. Everybody, oh, Hillary's got this. And I fought and fought and fought. And at the end of the day, I was proven right. Trump won. But then what I saw was these people ganging up to resist Trump. And once I saw COVID come out, all these dudes in the manosphere know it's true. When I came into the manosphere, I'm known as the person who said, yo, Trump's going to lose. Why? Because I was like, yo, these people are going to cheat. Somehow they're going to cheat. I didn't see it. I didn't know how they were going to do it. As soon as COVID came out, I was like, yep, that's it. That's how they're going to do it. They're going to cheat. Which makes me want to remind you, they still haven't explained where those 13 to 15 million votes went. I'm not going to ever stop talking about that. 2020 was a goddamn fraud. Period. And now everybody who's on my channel knows that for the longest I've been saying, yo, Trump's going to win 2024. And now you see he did. Why? Because Kamala was a shit candidate from the very beginning. They tried to appoint this woman to be the next president, and they failed. It's just that simple. And the last thing I will say is maybe sooner or later, I might talk a little bit about Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Sandra Day O'Connor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg stayed in there way too long. They knew that their health was failing. They stayed in there way too long. And they made it so that they weren't replaced with people pretty much exactly like them, which that's not necessarily a requirement, especially of the Constitution, but that's just something that people expected to be done. It wasn't done because they stayed in there too long and ended up dying and being replaced by a Republican president. So now they're going after Sonia Sotomayor. They say, yeah, your health is failing and we want you out. Apparently, these people are too stupid and haven't passed like 7th grade civics. A Supreme Court justice is a justice for life. Life. So you can't force her out and you can't force her to resign. The only thing you can do is chastise her and try to trick her into giving up her power. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that Sotomayor or Keegan, I don't think either of them are leaving out of here except in a box. I don't think they're going to give it up. So the reality is now the Democrats are trying to say that they want Sotomayor to drop out because they want Biden to be able to appoint somebody else. I just don't. I don't know what's going to happen there. Sotomayor might decide, no, fuck that. I'm a justice for life and stick around. I really don't know what's going to happen there. But what is certain is that Trump is going to probably, over the next 4 years, he's going to end up picking more Supreme Court justices. So all that nonsense about Roe v. Wade and all that stuff, you can forget it. Like that's a non-issue. That's a non-issue. It's just a non-issue. It's done. So who did they put in there? Ketanji Brown Jackson, I believe it was. Yeah, she's going to be sitting up there alone, basically. She's going to be sitting up there alone. Right now, she's sitting next to Sotomayor, and she's sitting next to Keegan. But it looks like Trump's going to be appointing more Supreme Court justices. Before you know it, the Supreme Court is going to lean so hard to the right until people like John Roberts are going to be considered like leftists. That's how bad it's going to get. So all you can do is stay tuned. You can just wait and see. But that's my take on things.
Young people who are watching, it is... I love you. To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed. But please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before. You have the capacity to do extraordinary good in the world.
There's no point in saying good morning, because it certainly is not one.
Let us be clear. Contrary to what my opponent is suggesting, I will never tell you what kind of car you have to drive.
Will everyone have to drive electric cars?
Well, by my plan, by 2045, we will have basically zero emission vehicles only, 100%.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yeah, I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But
my staff will deal with that later.
Yeah.
Why wasn't any of that done for the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Merry Christmas, everybody. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up.
Oh, we have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke.
Yeah.
To be continued.